Hello and welcome. My name is Liza George. I have Robert Sczentes with me here today. He works at Advanced Mind Institute. You actually founded it. He's also written the book Unlimited Possibilities. So what I want to get into today is people going out on a first date and how they can learn as much as they can about each other or that other person on a first date.
Okay. A really good question. I'm sure it happens a lot more than we give it credit. When the first date takes place, I presume there was already some sort of action that took place prior, such as online communication. Maybe it was, unless it's a blind date, maybe it was set up through friends. So there's probably some elements and some components that the person knows about the other. So then comes the big meeting, and of course, all depends on how we go and approach the meeting will also shape the outcome of the meeting, correct? So if you go in with like a relaxed attitude and say, okay, I'm going to just meet this person, may or may not lead anywhere, you don't really have any expectations, and the next thing you know, you may even have a good time. There would not be any like long-term attraction, but you may have made a good friend. So that's one scenario. However, what I have noticed is a lot of people going to these meetings and first dates with expectations, with almost like a list, a specific list, which is not a bad thing to do. I can talk about that more. But the moment we have this list, then the person begins to compare every movement and every statement the other person makes, and it becomes more of an analytical process and not allowing the person to be in the moment.
Yes.
Right? So, does this
That's happened to me. Yes,
Okay.
I've done that. So yes, with your 7 mind structures and the first date thing, and we just need to get people to get out of their heads and just be in the moment, though, so that you can kind of open yourself up to new possibilities, I guess.
Okay. When you refer to the 7 mind structures, I know that you are talking about my book,
Yes.
Unlimited Possibilities.
Unlimited Possibilities,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so that goes a little deeper than what I think fits this recording. But
Okay.
I'd like to answer this. When you go to any kind of meeting, and in this case it's a relationship related, so it would be a romantic meeting / date.
Yes.
You also have to know who you are, what you bring to the table. Because a lot of times what happens, and what I noticed, is that we consciously have a list of what we're looking for another person, and that's not a bad thing.
Okay.
Like, you want probably this and this type of guy with this and this type of look, so on and so forth. Maybe you prefer a deeper voice versus
Yes.
not so deep. So it's okay, but here's what happens. If the person does not have a subconsciously matching list that could substantiate those, the person is not going to be able to manifest it. Now, this may not have been extremely meaningful to some people, so I'll explain. If a person wants let me talk about a woman that wants a confident man, very good thing to wish for, and yes. So, there's this date, and the woman really is looking for a confident guy. That's on her the top item on her list. Now, if she has internal self-esteem issues, I'll say something very simple, use a simple example. Maybe she doesn't feel worthy, or she doesn't feel good enough. That confident guy, should he really show up in her life, is going to trigger her, is going to make her feel less worthy and reiterate her negative belief about herself.
Okay.
Of not being good enough.
Yes.
Because it could be a perfect match, and he might be a very friendly guy who says, well, cool, I know a lot of the neuro-linguistic programming and hypnosis, so I know how to overcome that. That's really no big deal. But she could very possibly self-sabotage if those belief structures are in place. Make sense?
Yes.
So then if you end the date and then you interview the two people, like you could ask the guy, how do you think it went? I thought she was really awesome, very genuine. I could see a little insecurity, which is fine. We all have them, we could overcome.
We do, yes.
Then you turn to the lady, say, how did it go? Oh my God, I think I'm not good enough for him. I think I'm never going to call him again. Very common. And reverse the gender, same thing.
Oh, wow.
Our self-esteem influences so much, not only who we attract to the date already, but how we behave and how we continue carrying that relationship.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So what can we do though? Do we just need to get out of our subconscious, out of our head, or?
Well, easier
I know
said than
I was gonna say, I know
done.
it's easier said than done, and you can't really fully answer it here, but.
Yeah. I am a breakthrough coach, so I'm a firm believer in breakthroughs. And a breakthrough means to really assess and map out who we are, what we want, and what's in the way.
Okay.
We have tools to identify what's in the way. We can clean that stuff up. We become a completely new and different person, much more aligned with who we actually want to be and are inside. And then we can match that. Now we have a cleaner slate, and then we can match that with our wishes and wants, and those will become much more effortless to achieve. So here's what I recommend. For people that are not aware, perhaps the neurolinguistic programming tools and techniques or hypnosis techniques, which are simply tools to access our subconscious, to make us understand who we are and give us the ability to fine-tune ourselves, then maybe, and because, as mentioned, I'm a breakthrough coach, I really suggest that each and every person should take a deeper look at what he or she is putting out, who she or he is.
Okay.
For example, we talked about, last time I believe we talked about people wanting respect.
Right.
Well, let me ask you this, and this is a cool conversation. Like, if you can play, it doesn't have to be real, but if you, let's say that you and I are on a first date.
Yes.
And we get along okay, but you're really intensely looking for respect.
Yes.
And I'm going to say, you know what, girl, you're cool. And you can say, wait, that
Just
was
go away.
disrespectful.
Yes.
Right? And in my mind, because I'm a totally different mind structure, it's like, well, that was just something I do.
Yeah.
And it could translate in your mind, like, this guy is disrespecting me.
Ah, yeah.
Right? And I had absolutely no intention. In fact, I truly highly respect women.
So you're saying it as like a joke, and she's saying it as a respect thing.
Could be,
Yeah.
if that's what she's processing.
Yes.
And this is the, the interesting thing about us humans. We are very complex. We have a few structures, and we built a lot of other things on these structures, but often these structures are shaky. Kind of like looking for respect when really you should be looking for a fun time.
Okay.
Make sense?
It does, yes.
So back to the basics. I always suggest to people, it's like the best thing to do if you want to improve our relationships, whether we are in one or ready to enter one or entering the dating market, is to work on yourselves.
Yes.
Work on yourselves. This is a deep science. It's not a 10-step process. It's not a 12-step process. It's hundreds and thousands of small shifts. But once you learn and once you understand what it takes, it becomes actually a fun game. It becomes a really fun game.
I was gonna say that's a lot, but it's not really, because people will tell you, like, when you figured out what you want, then what you've kind of been looking for will come to you. You'll attract it. So
Yes.
I've heard that before.
Yes, a lot of people are starting to become consciously aware that we create our reality. And that means that the thoughts and the feelings, the vibrations we put out, get reflected back to us, and it will be brought back in the form of events, circumstances, and people. So our dates actually are a replication of our thought process and emotions.
So are you saying it's okay to have your list of what you want, but don't, like, use it 100% or something, or just be open that it could change, or that it's just a guideline, it's not really set in stone?
Okay, I have 3 answers to that.
Okay.
The more specific the list, the longer it can take to manifest. Because, say, you want this and this and this, it might take for you to meet more people to filter through, to identify what you're looking for, what you don't want.
Okay.
If you're more general, the manifestation or the happening, the alignment can happen faster, but you may be surprised that you are a little too general.
Okay.
Okay, you want to meet a certain type of gentleman, but maybe a non-smoker. You forgot to specify that.
Okay.
Okay, or maybe a guy who doesn't spend as much time on the computer, but rather spends time outside. It's an individual thing. So I'm not against the list, but realize this: the moment the list becomes overly specific, then it could take longer to manifest, and it could become a frustrating process for those who don't know the tools.
That's a good answer.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay.
Okay. Is that it?
So stay in the beginning, stay general,
Yes.
and I like to offer an interesting question. Whatever happens in life, whether it's a relationship, if something goes well, be grateful, be appreciative. Just go, great, okay, it's working. Like I'm co-creating this event. However, if things don't go as well, you could say, what have I thought to create this?
In your subconscious mind?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. 90+% of what we create is subconscious, which means that it's behind or in the background, and it still manifests in the physical reality, and what we are consciously aware is often not what is happening.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Okay. No one thinks about that at the time, though, so you're kind of bringing up things that, like I
Yeah.
haven't thought about, so.
Yeah, it's we go deep, and it's actually a lot of fun when you know the basics, like how this whole thing works. And it can be just a fascinating exercise to live through. So the moment we stop detesting and fighting and start participating with the understanding that, hey, I'm creating this, right? This is fun. I can't stand this person, or I really like this person, but it's part of our co-creation and learning process.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming in.